On a quiet evening in a small southern town, a hungry boy with nothing in his pockets gave away the only hot meal he had to an elderly couple he'd never met. He didn't know they were watching him long after he walked away, nor that someone else was, too. By morning, the world around him would feel colder, the weight of prejudice pressing harder than ever, and a stranger with a fortune would come knocking, carrying a choice that could change everything. Why did a single act of kindness ignite a chain of events no one could have imagined? 12-year-old Malik had grown used to life's quiet hunger. Every morning before school, he laced worn sneakers that once belonged to a cousin, slipped a cracked backpack over his shoulders, and headed out from the small duplex he shared with his mother and baby sister. His mom worked 2 jobs and still counted every coin twice, but Malik never complained. He helped where he could, running errands for neighbors, raking yards, sometimes skipping lunch so his sister could have more. The town around him told another story. Old brick buildings stood chipped and tired, and the grocery store owner watched him with eyes that followed too closely, a silent reminder of the lines people pretended weren't there. Malik felt them anyway, on the bus, in the whispers when he passed, in the way opportunity always seemed to belong to someone else. On that chilly evening, he carried a single takeout box, a rare treat from a kind teacher who slipped him a few dollars. Steam curled through the air, and his stomach growled. He thought only of home, of sharing with his mother, of a small moment of warmth. But fate was already waiting at the corner, setting the pieces of a night that would test both his kindness and the harsh realities of the world around him. Malik's shoes slapped against the cracked sidewalk as the streetlights flickered awake. The warm scent of fried chicken drifted from the small box in his arms, almost enough to drown the chill cutting through his thin jacket. Halfway home, he noticed the elderly couple standing by the bus stop, frail silhouettes shivering under the amber glow. Their coats looked threadbare, their grocery bags nearly empty. Malik slowed. The man leaned against the metal pole, rubbing his hands for warmth, while the woman's gaze lingered on the takeout box. Hunger and exhaustion etched deep lines into their faces. Malik's stomach growled, a low reminder of the single meal waiting for him and his family. He thought of his baby sister's small hands reaching for food, of his mother's tired eyes. But something inside him shifted. Without a word, he stepped forward and offered the box. The woman's eyes widened. The man stammered a quiet, "Thank you," but before Malik could respond, a sharp voice cut through the night. "Hey! What are you doing here?" A shop owner from across the street stormed toward them, suspicion hard in his eyes. "You people are always hanging around, causing trouble," he snapped, his gaze fixed on Malik. Malik froze. He had done nothing, no crime, no misstep, yet the accusation clung to the cold air. The old couple looked away, their gratitude instantly shadowed by fear. "I wasn't," Malik started, but the man's glare deepened. "Don't lie to me. I've seen you kids before. Looking to steal, huh?" A passing car slowed, its driver craning to watch. Another pedestrian paused, their phone tilted as if ready to record. Malik felt the invisible weight of every stare, the silent verdict delivered before he could speak. His throat tightened. The old man tried to intervene, murmuring that the boy had only shared his food, but the shop owner waved him off. "Save it. I know what I saw." A distant siren wailed, closer with each heartbeat. Malik's heart pounded. What if the police came? He'd heard enough stories, boys like him questioned for nothing, nights that ended in handcuffs or worse. The couple squeezed his shoulders, whispering for him to go. Malik hesitated, shame burning hotter than the winter air. He stepped back, then turned, his legs trembling as he ran. Behind him, the shop owner's voice followed like a shadow, "Stay out of this neighborhood." By the time Malik reached the dim stairwell of his building, the takeout box was gone, his stomach empty, his chest tight. He had given up his only meal, only to be treated like a thief. But the night wasn't finished. From across the street, a sleek black car idled, its engine low and steady. A figure inside watched him disappear into the darkness, eyes catching the faint glow of the hallway light. Whoever it was didn't move, didn't blink, waiting, calculating. Malik never saw the car pull away, but its silent promise lingered. Someone had witnessed everything. Someone who wasn't finished with him yet. Morning sunlight spilled across Malik's small kitchen, but it felt colder than the night before. His mother's face tightened as she scanned a notice taped to their door, another rent increase, a threat of eviction if they couldn't pay. Malik barely heard her. His mind replayed the shop owner's voice, the accusing glare, the way strangers had watched like a jury. He had done everything right, and still he was marked guilty. A hard knock shattered the silence. Malik stiffened. Through the peephole stood 2 uniformed officers and the very shop owner from last night, his arms folded, eyes blazing. "We need to speak with the boy," one officer said. His mother's voice trembled as she asked why. The shop owner wasted no time. He was loitering, disturbing customers, maybe stealing. "Check his bag, you'll see." Malik's chest clenched. There was no bag, nothing to hide, but his hands shook anyway. The officers stepped inside, their presence filling the narrow hallway. One glanced around the sparse apartment as if searching for proof of a crime that didn't exist. The questions came sharp and fast. Where had he been? Who was he with? What was in the box? Malik tried to explain, words tumbling over themselves, but his voice felt small against the authority of their uniforms and the landlord's glare. His mother stood tall, insisting on their rights, but Malik could see the worry behind her steady gaze. He wanted to disappear, to shrink until the world stopped accusing. Then a deep voice cut through the tension. "That's enough." A man stepped forward from the hallway's shadow, a stranger in a tailored coat, the same figure who had watched from the black car. He held out a card, his tone calm but commanding. "I witnessed everything last night. This boy is no thief. In fact, he showed more generosity than most adults I know." The room stilled. The shop owner's confidence faltered. The officers exchanged a glance. Malik's heart pounded, unsure whether to feel relief or fear. Who was this man? And why did he seem to know exactly what was coming next? The officers hesitated, the stranger's words breaking through the thick air of accusation. With quiet authority, he explained how he had followed Malik after witnessing the boy give away his only meal. He recounted every detail, the shivering couple, the unprovoked confrontation, the way Malik was treated as a suspect before a single question was asked. Each fact landed like a stone, and the shop owner's certainty began to crumble. Reluctantly, the officers stepped back. No charges. No apology, either, just a curt nod before they left. The shop owner muttered something under his breath and disappeared down the stairwell, leaving a silence that felt heavier than the confrontation itself. The man introduced himself as Leonard Hayes, a retired entrepreneur who had built a fortune and never forgotten the hardships of his own youth. He set a heavy envelope on the kitchen table, enough to cover rent for a year, and looked Malik in the eye. "This isn't charity," he said softly. "It's a door. What you did last night reminded me of the person I once needed to be." When the door finally closed, Malik sat in stunned quiet. He had no words for the swirl of emotions, relief, disbelief, and the lingering sting of being judged for the color of his skin rather than the kindness of his actions. News of the encounter spread through the neighborhood. Some praised the generosity, others whispered about the injustice. But for Malik, the lesson burned deeper. In a world where suspicion can follow an innocent boy home, a single act of compassion still has the power to disrupt hate. How many children are quietly living the same story, unseen and unheard? And how many of us will choose to notice before another night like this repeats itself? If Malik's courage moved you, share his story. Speak out. Because silence only keeps the cycle alive.